when he says no one's good but God. And then the person replies to him, he stops calling him good teacher. Now he only calls him teacher, right?
He would be a bad teacher.
Why does he stop calling him good teacher?
Because he came at it with the wrong perspective. That's why it says he walked away sad.
No, he walked away sad because he didn't want to
sell everything. Yeah, meaning that he came from the wrong perspective. He didn't want to come as a follower. Do you want me to show you from the synoptic text that they believe that Jesus was good, fulfilling the sufficient criteria? Because I can do that. The synoptics, they set up a criteria of what it even means to be good. So if you have, like, for example, Luke chapter 18, verse 19, it tells you, why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. So there's a specific criteria that must be fulfilled utilizing this Greek word. So taking Luke chapter 6:45, he tells you what that criteria is. He says, a good man out of the good treasure of his heart. So this is a hypothetical man. It's not someone who exists. He says, a good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good. An evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. So this hypothetical man, for you to be good, you must bring out good works. And that follows the deuterocanonical corpus that the Jews would have had in circulation, especially Sirach. God is made good because of his energeia. So that is the sufficient criteria to be made good or not good. That's why even the Johannine community uses this. John 8:46 says, can any of you prove me guilty of sin? And that's obviously saying I'm not a sinner. John 10:32 says, many good works I have shown you from my Father. For which of these works do you stone me? So Christ has good works, good energeia, based on the principle in Luke that points you, doesn't prove anything yet, but it points you to the identity of Christ. But even further, if you read Matthew chapter 3, verse 10, it talks about a good tree does not bear good fruit. The axe is laid against it. Matthew chapter 21, verses 33 to 34, it says there was a certain landowner who planted a vineyard. At vintage time drew near, he sent his servants to go receive the fruit. So that's in the context, it's either good deeds or bad deeds. When you get to Luke 13, it places Christ himself looking for fruit on the tree. And this is cross-referenced to Mark chapter 11, verse 13, where he literally, not in a parable, historically goes and looks for fruit on the fig tree. And then for Matthew 20:15, he makes the owner of the vineyard, he says, is it not lawful for me to do what I wish with my own things? Is your eye evil because I'm good? So the vineyard owner checks for good works, and he himself calls himself good, and Christ puts himself in the place of the vineyard owner. He's fulfilling the correct, because it says wisdom is the perfect image of his goodness, the same exact Greek word. And then that's why in the New Testament, especially in the Synoptics, Jesus views himself as wisdom. He says, wisdom will be justified by her works when they accuse the Son of Man of drinking. So Christ sets up a criteria of what it means to be good. He appeals to the Old Testament about what makes something good. He puts himself in the place of the vineyard owner, and he calls the vineyard owner good. So Christ explicitly thought of himself as the wisdom, who is good, the exact image of his goodness, and he thought himself as the vineyard owner who's good. So even from the Synoptics, Christ, when he calls the Father good, nothing should let us think it's in isolation to his own goodness.
So Mark 10:18, when it says no one's good but God, and then the person replies to him, he stops calling him good teacher. Now he only calls him teacher, right?
He would be a bad teacher.
Why does he stop calling him good teacher?
Because he